In this podcast episode, Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, shares his insights on various pressing global issues, including the influence of the United States, immigration policies, NATO dynamics, and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. His reflections provide a unique perspective on the intersection of national sovereignty, international relations, and the evolving political landscape in Europe. Orban begins by discussing the long-standing influence of the United States on global politics, particularly under the leadership of Donald Trump. He notes that Trump's presidency marks a significant shift in the political mindset of the West, challenging the liberal consensus that has dominated for decades. Orban expresses a sense of validation regarding Hungary's earlier stance on immigration and border security, which had been labeled as radical at the time. He argues that the current challenges faced by Europe, particularly in relation to migration, underscore the importance of prioritizing national interests over external pressures. Orban highlights the historical context of U.S. foreign aid, suggesting that it often serves to promote liberal ideologies at the expense of national sovereignty. He claims that U.S. taxpayer dollars are used to fund opposition groups in Hungary, which he views as an attempt to undermine his government. This narrative of external interference resonates with his broader critique of the liberal elite, which he accuses of promoting policies that he believes threaten traditional values and national identity. A significant portion of the discussion centers around immigration, with Orban emphasizing Hungary's commitment to maintaining secure borders. He argues that the influx of migrants, particularly from Muslim-majority countries, poses a threat to the cultural and social fabric of Europe. Orban contends that the liberal approach to immigration, which he characterizes as open borders, has led to societal unrest and a loss of national identity. He expresses skepticism about the motivations behind the push for mass migration, suggesting that it stems from a desire among some Western leaders to dilute national identities and promote a multicultural agenda. Orban maintains that Hungary should have the autonomy to decide its immigration policies without external pressure from entities like the European Union or the United States. Orban also addresses the role of NATO in the current geopolitical landscape, particularly in light of the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. He argues that the expansion of NATO contributes to rising tensions in Eastern Europe, asserting that the alliance's approach often disregards the historical context of the region. Orban emphasizes the need for a more nuanced understanding of Russia's security concerns, suggesting that the West's insistence on NATO expansion exacerbates the situation. He expresses concern about the potential for the conflict to escalate further, warning that it could lead to a prolonged and devastating war in Europe. Orban advocates for a diplomatic resolution to the conflict, arguing that the focus should be on finding common ground rather than perpetuating hostilities. He criticizes the current Western strategy, which he believes prioritizes military engagement over peaceful negotiations. The discussion on the Russia-Ukraine war highlights the humanitarian implications of the conflict. Orban describes the situation as tragic, with millions of Ukrainians displaced and suffering as a result of the ongoing violence. He underscores the importance of addressing the humanitarian needs of those affected, while also cautioning against the potential for the conflict to become an endless cycle of violence. Orban's perspective on the war is shaped by his belief that the conflict is not merely a territorial dispute, but rather a complex interplay of historical grievances and geopolitical interests. He argues that the West's approach to the war often overlooks the realities on the ground, leading to misguided policies that fail to address the root causes of the conflict. Looking ahead, Orban expresses optimism about Hungary's future, asserting that the country has the potential to thrive despite the challenges posed by the European Union and external pressures. He emphasizes the importance of maintaining national sovereignty and pursuing policies that prioritize the well-being of Hungarian citizens. Orban's vision for Hungary involves fostering strong relationships with like-minded nations in Central and Eastern Europe, advocating for a cooperative approach that respects national identities and cultural heritage. He believes that Hungary can serve as a model for other nations seeking to navigate the complexities of globalization while preserving their unique identities.